What it is, I'm QDZ, the double easy, another episode of All About Sim Eyes.
Outbounded driver.
What's good? Man. Well, today, just getting to drop my load in PA. It's kind of crazy because, you know, my appointment was at 11 a.m. and it is now 1 o'clock. 1:08 to be exactly. And it blows my mind because, you know, I got here at 9 and the first thing they said was, you know what time your appointment is? I said, yeah, 11 o'clock. I said, okay. He said, you can go park in the lot. Now, when I got here, it was only myself and it was a truck here before me. Needless to say, about 5 trucks came in after me. About 4 of those trucks got loaded and gone. You know, and they want you to be here, but it's like, what is the appointment for? And it's almost salt into the wound because you're going to make an appointment and then have drivers sitting for hours. And this is why I say, you know, we fight for the wrong things, man, as drivers. And that whole old Ida thing, that's a whole joke. That's a whole nother video in itself, in my opinion. You know, we need to be fighting for our pay and our time and just so many other things, all this price gouging. But I ain't really start this video so I can rant about that. But on a sidebar note, we're going to talk about agents and how to talk to agents, amongst a few other things. So at any rate, for those of you that I might be new to dealing with agents, brokers, there's a lingo and there's a way that you got to deal with them, you know, because otherwise they'll eat you alive. And you got to know what to ask when you're booking a load. First off, before you even book that load, you need to know some things. And I don't feel like I should have to say this, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to say it. Call and before you call, know how much time that you got on your clock. Know where you're at. Know where your fuel is. Just know those things, because when you're looking at a load and you call an agent and you realize, wait a minute, I don't have enough time to make it to this load or to get the delivery done, it doesn't look professional. And believe it or not, more than often, a lot of people do that. They call and they just don't even have their stuff together. Now, first things first, know your capacity of your truck. When I call, I always say, hey, this is Aaron, Rice Transport Systems. When I was with Landstar, hey, this is BCO Aaron, truck number, blase, blase, blase. See, you got a load on the board. Oh, yeah, what load is that? PA to PA. Yeah, that load's still available. Well, how can I help you? Well, I just want to confirm the weight on that. It looks like here the weight is 41,200 pounds. Okay, well, on the ad it says that it's 40,000 pounds. Why is that important? Why do I bring that up? Because, again, you need to know what you can scale. And you need to know what you can scale comfortably. You need to know what you can pull comfortably. I actually knew a couple guys. One guy in particular I knew that worked at Landstar. He wouldn't pull over 35, I think, or 30,000 because he said his truck just did not want to run right at 40,000 pounds. That's a whole other conversation. We don't need to have that. But he knew what he could pull comfortably. You need to know that. And furthermore, you need to confirm, because if they tell you that it's a 20,000, you look on the board and it says 20,000 pounds, and you show up and it's 40,000 pounds, you're going to be pissed off because, one, you done drove all the way over there, and two, they lied, and you're like, but you didn't ask. Because sometimes if you ask before you go, the agent or broker can catch that error and say, it says it, wait a minute, and they'll catch it. Sometimes they don't, and they're slimy like that, and they'll just let you ride over there. And that happens, and sometimes that's just not in your control. You can ask all the right questions and still have problems. So don't think that you won't have issues, but you got to know what to ask, and let them give you the questions. Because what I do is I set those questions up and I wait for the response. So I say, okay, if the weight is good, I say, okay, and can you reconfirm that rate for me? And they say, it looks like we got $4,000 on the load. Okay. All right, well, I was wondering, could you do a little better on that? Well, they're going to say, where do you need to be? We could do 45. I would be okay with it. Well, could you come down to about 42? 42.50, we'll do it. You got to be able to negotiate, know how to negotiate and talk to them. And also, you want to reconfirm those rates, because you want to make sure the rate that you see is the rate that they have. Because you can say, I want to book the load, never confirm the rate. They send you a rate confirmation. You get the rate confirmation because you booked the load, and the amount might be less than what you saw it on the board for. So make them confirm it, and that'll save a whole lot of issues with that. The other thing is, when you're talking to agents, always ask who you're talking to. Hey, get their name, write it down, because sometimes you'll have issues with a load, and you'll be 5 hours in the load, something happens, you try and call somebody, you don't know who you initially booked the load with. They got these after hour people, and now everybody's trying to look at you like you're crazy, and you're like, well, I talked to such and such, and this is what they told me, and they're going to say, well, the rate con said this, but no, such and such told me. You need to have somebody to make accountable for any errors that are not your fault, information wise. So make a habit of that. And the other good thing about that is, when you build relationships, you want to have those people numbers anyway, and those people's contacts, because it goes a long way, especially if you decide to go out on your own or go with somebody that has their own, and you can bring your own contacts. It goes a long way. The other thing is, when you're talking to agents and brokers, try and talk like you know what you're talking about. I know it's going to be a little weird at first because you never done it, but don't be like, guys do it. I know it sounds crazy, but guys do it. As a broker, as an agent, they can smell that fresh meat. Have your dialogue, write a list. If you got to have that thing in your hand when you ask your questions, even if you forget to ask something, it's better to ask those questions and ask them professionally than to ask random questions and ask them inexperienced, because it's going to set you aside from your average driver. They're going to say, oh, this guy's got it together. He knows what he's asking for. He knows what he's talking about, and ask them also for your zip code for the pickup, zip code for the delivery. That way, while you're on the phone for them, and usually I'll ask that first. Once I ask the weight, I'll go ahead and ask for the zip codes for the pickup and the delivery. While I'm getting ready to ask them the rest of the questions, I'm mapping it out. I'm on my phone from here to here, seeing how many miles it is. That way you can compare the miles that they're telling you to the miles that you're actually going to drive. We call them practical miles or actual miles. Okay, most of the time they're going to pay you on practical miles. Whole nother video, but that's basically the practical miles. So you want to make sure, because you don't want to they be saying it's a 600-mile run, and then you're like, wait a minute, this is 1,100 miles, you know, or 900 miles, and then you realize what you thought was going to take you a day, it's going to take you a day and a half or 2 days. You know, you can have some kind of relevance. Once you know certain areas and you've been going to certain areas, you automatically know, because you're going to be booking to go to the places that you want to go anyway. So those are just a few tips on how to talk to agents. I'm going to do another detailed video of this, more in depth, but I just kind of wanted to throw something real quick out there, you know, for people that just wanted to know. Next video coming up for owner operators, people think about getting their authority, how to get paid and getting paid, and this will be a good one. It's your boy Q Deezy, Double Easy, double episode, all about semis. How about you, drivers?